Greg is 54 years old. He's worked at the same company for 22 years. He's got about $400,000 in his 401k, and he's tired. He's been dreaming about retirement for the last 5 years. He wants to leave at 55, but every time he runs the numbers, the same wall stops him. He thinks he can't touch his 401k until 59 and a half, not without paying a 10% penalty to the IRS. That's $40,000 gone. So Greg keeps working. He waits. He assumes there's no other way. But here's the thing. Greg is wrong. There's a rule buried in the tax code that most people have never heard of. Most financial advisors don't bring it up. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how it works and how pairing it with a 401k dividend ETF conversion income strategy could change the way you think about early retirement. It's called the Rule of 55, and the part most people miss is this. There's one move almost everyone makes the day they retire that destroys this rule forever. Once it's gone, you can't get it back. Quick note, I'm not a financial advisor or government employee. Everything here is for educational purposes only. For your specific situation, always check with a qualified professional. So let me show you what this rule actually says. The Rule of 55 is IRS Code Section 72T. It says this: if you leave your employer during or after the calendar year you turn 55, you can pull money from that employer's 401k without paying the 10% early withdrawal penalty. No special paperwork, no tricks. It's been in the tax code for decades. Now, you still owe income tax on what you pull out, but that 10% penalty? Gone. For Greg, that's $40,000 he doesn't lose. One important detail. The timing is based on the calendar year, not your birthday. If you turn 55 any time in 2026, you can leave your job in January and still qualify. But if you left at 54, even 1 year early, you're locked out. The separation has to happen in or after the year you turn 55. And there's a bonus for public safety workers. Firefighters, law enforcement, and corrections officers can use a similar rule starting at age 50. The Secure 2.0 Act expanded that list to include private sector firefighters and forensic security employees. So now you know the rule exists, but there's a problem, and it's the one most people don't see coming. Here's what I mean. The rollover trap that costs you everything. Picture this. Linda retires at 56. She's got $380,000 in her 401k. Her advisor calls her the next week and says, let's roll that into an IRA. You'll have more investment choices. It'll be easier to manage. Sounds reasonable. So Linda does it. She signs the paperwork, the money moves. And just like that, without knowing it, Linda permanently destroyed her Rule of 55 access. This is the trap. Once your 401k money lands in a traditional IRA, the Rule of 55 no longer applies. The IRS is explicit about this. Fidelity confirms it. Schwab confirms it. It's not a gray area. It's gone forever. And here's the part that should bother you. A government report found that 1/3 of the largest 401k providers actively pushed IRA rollovers, while only one offered to help participants stay in the plan. The White House estimated Americans lose up to $5 billion a year from conflicted rollover advice. Why does this happen? Because when your money sits in a 401k, nobody earns a fee on it. When it moves to an IRA managed by an advisor, they often charge around 1% per year. On $400,000, that's $4,000 a year out of your pocket. Here's the myth. You can't touch your 401k before 59 and a half without a penalty. Here's the truth. The IRS lists over a dozen exceptions, and Rule of 55 is the broadest one available to anyone who retires at 55 or older. So if you don't roll it over, what do you actually do with that money? That's where this gets interesting, because most people don't know your 401k has a hidden feature that unlocks a completely different menu of investments. The brokerage window, getting SCHD inside your 401k. Most 401k plans give you maybe 20 or 30 mutual funds to choose from. That's it. You can't buy individual stocks, you can't buy ETFs like SCHD. At least, that's what most people think.
But roughly 1 in 4 401k plans and almost 40% of large employer plans offer something called a self-directed brokerage account. At Fidelity, it's called Brokerage Link. At Schwab, it's called the Personal Choice Retirement Account. It opens a window inside your 401k where you can buy ETFs, individual stocks, and thousands of mutual funds. And here's the key. Only about 1 to 4% of people who have this option actually use it. Most don't even know it exists. So imagine this. You sell your target date fund inside the 401k and buy SCHD instead. That trade happens inside the plan. No taxes triggered, no penalties. You're still in your 401k. You still have Rule of 55 access. But now your money's sitting in one of the most proven dividend ETFs in the market. The one thing you have to do first, read your summary plan description. That's the document that tells you whether your plan offers a brokerage window, what's allowed inside it, and whether there are any limits. Some plans cap it at 50% of your balance, a few restricted to mutual funds only. You have to check. And here's a smart move before you retire. If you have old 401ks from previous jobs sitting in IRAs, ask your current employer if their plan accepts roll-ins. If they do, move that money back into the 401k. That way, when you separate at 55 or later, the entire balance, including the rolled-in money, gets Rule of 55 access. Now you've got SCHD inside your 401k and Rule of 55 intact. But the real question is, what does that actually pay you? Let me show you the numbers.
Let's use real numbers. As of April 2026, SCHD pays a trailing 12-month yield of about 3.4%. It charges an expense ratio of 0.06%. That's 6 cents for every $100 invested. And over the past 10 years, its dividend has grown at roughly 10.7% per year. So here's what $400,000 looks like inside SCHD. Year 1, you collect about $13,600 in dividends. That's roughly $1,133 a month landing in your account. Not enough to replace a full salary, but enough to cover groceries, insurance, and a car payment. Year 5, if dividends keep growing at their historical pace, you're now collecting around $22,600 a year. Your yield on what you originally paid is pushing past 5.5%. Year 10, that same $400,000 is now throwing off roughly $36,600 a year. You haven't sold a single share. Your principal is still there, and your yield on cost has climbed above 9%. But here's where the real power kicks in. While those dividends are covering your bills from 55 to 67, your Social Security benefit is quietly getting bigger. Every year you delay past your full retirement age of 67, Social Security pays you 8% more permanently. Delay from 62 to 70, and your monthly check is 77% higher than if you'd claimed early. So by year 12, when you're 67, you turn on Social Security. The average benefit at 67 is about $2,080 a month, or roughly $25,000 a year. Add that to your dividend income, and you're looking at over $51,000 a year without touching your principal. That's the income bridge. Dividends carry you across the gap. Social Security meets you on the other side, and together they build a combined income stream that grows every year. Before I get into the risks, drop a comment right now. Do you have a brokerage window inside your 401k, or is this the first time you're hearing about it? I read every single comment, and I'm curious how many of you already have access to this. 3 risks that can break the bridge. I'd be doing you a disservice if I made this sound like a guaranteed win. It's not. There are real risks, and you deserve to know them. Risk number 1 is a market crash in the early years. If the stock market drops 30% the year after you retire, your dividend income could take a hit. Companies can cut dividends. It happened in 2008. It happened again in 2020.
Retirement researchers like Wade Pfau recommend keeping 2 to 3 years of spending in bonds or cash so you're not forced to sell shares at the worst possible time. Risk number 2 is dividend growth isn't guaranteed. I used the 10.7% historical growth rate for SCHD, but the most recent year came in closer to 5%. The economy changes, companies shift priorities. Projecting the past forward is useful, but it's not a promise. Risk number 3 is Social Security reform. The Social Security Trust Fund is projected to run short around 2033 or 2034. Without legislation, benefits could be reduced by 20 to 23%. That doesn't kill this strategy. Research from Morningstar shows the bridge still works under most reform scenarios, but you should plan with flexibility, not certainty. Smart retirees don't ignore risks, they plan around them. And that brings us to the final piece, the checklist that tells you whether this strategy fits your situation. Your 3-step action checklist. Here's what to do next. 3 steps, simple, but each one matters. Step 1, read your summary plan description. Find out if your plan offers a brokerage window. Find out if it allows partial withdrawals after separation. Find out if there are any restrictions. This one document answers 90% of the questions that stop people from using this strategy. Step 2, consolidate before you retire. If you have old 401k money sitting in an IRA from a previous job, check if your current employer's plan accepts roll-ins. If it does, move that money back in. When you separate at 55 or older, the entire balance gets Rule of 55 access. Step 3, do not roll to an IRA until you've taken every dollar you need. This is the one that saves people the most money. Once your 401k hits an IRA, Rule of 55 is gone. Take your penalty-free distributions first. Roll the rest later if you choose. And here's the line I want you to remember. The tax code, Social Security, and 13 years of dividend data all reward the same move. The reason nobody uses it is that no one is paid to put the pieces together for you. That's what this video was for. If someone you know is thinking about early retirement or sitting on a 401k they don't know how to use, share this video with them right now. It could save them a very expensive mistake. And tell me in the comments, what's your plan? Are you staying in your 401k, or are you rolling over? I want to hear from you. If you're building income for retirement and want to stay ahead of changes like this, subscribe to Dividend Hustle. I cover everything that protects your income. And next time, I'm breaking down the tax math of Roth conversions during the bridge years, because what you do with taxes between 55 and 67 can save you tens of thousands over your lifetime. You don't want to miss that one. I'll see you in the next video.